over.
What's up, guys? It's Mike D, Orlando, Florida. Welcome to the Pooling Around Show.
Man, thanks for joining us.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Got Sean King with us.
I'm Sean King, Chris's partner. We're interviewing top players, pool room owners, cue makers, case makers, all over the country, and we're very lucky to be with Mike DeLawder today. He's a Florida man, hardworking father, and a champion pool player.
Depends what day it is, Sean, if I'm a champion. Thank you so much for having me, though, guys. I really appreciate it. I love an opportunity to share, the game and how it's helped me with others, and I just appreciate your platform and having me on for sure.
Yeah. What are you wearing there? What's your shirt say on it?
Savage Billiards. Brittany and Jacob DeWalsh, Savage Billiards. They give me some apparel, and I like their shirts so much I started selling them, and I got everybody in East Coast now, fitted up with Savage gear. It's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Some of them, the ones they sent me have my name on it, so it's kind of cool just to, represent somebody's brand that I believe in. You know what I mean? So
I'm sure it doesn't hurt. You're like 7 foot tall model,
Too tall. I was born like this. It's horrible. You don't want to be this tall, bro.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'5.5", but I'd much rather be your height for sure. You know what I mean?
Sean, what are you, 6'2", Sean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you mean for pool? There's a conversation about.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people always are saying taller players have the advantage. I think tall to a point, like about your height is an advantage, but anything above that, I think perceiving the target and the shot line is more difficult being taller. In my opinion.
Yeah, they say don't tell John Reynolds that he's in a wheelchair and he's a beast.
That's what I'm saying, man. Some of my best friends over the years. I got one friend from New York. He has one leg, one arm, a mechanical bridge, and the guy plays like the 7-ball under Justin Hall. I have another friend named Walt that played for 20 years in a wheelchair. He could beat the 9-ball ghost. That's why I love pool so much. It's because when some people get hurt dirt biking, some people hurt their back or whatever, but you can still play pool at a high level, up to being an older man. I feel like it's a great game to, you can play through injuries and just have to adjust as you get older. You know what I mean?
Right. So
tell us a little bit about, the people who know you're an athlete, and you can do some pretty interesting things, like throw a golf ball over a building. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Where did all that athletic stuff come from? Were you in sports, or what happened?
When I was a young man, I had a huge family. I have about 15 aunts and uncles, and we would have get-togethers every Sunday. And I was the youngest of the entire family. I lost at every single thing. For the first 15 years of my life, I can't even remember one victory. Like, I'm telling you, like, my family was so competitive. I mean, whether it was horseshoes, whether it was slalom skiing, whether it was throwing a rock and see who can skip it the most. I mean, I took so many L's, you know what I mean, being the youngest. And all my cousins were so talented, and I was just, I waited my turn. When my father passed away when I was a young man, I didn't realize that the world wasn't nearly as competitive as my family. So I had a little wake up call. I was like, man, these people don't even care if they win. It's like, but yeah, I mean, my athleticism comes from being poor. And I mean, I built stilts when I was a little boy. I rode a unicycle when I was a little boy. I can juggle. I throw the golf ball about 140 yards. And I can shoot probably, I mean, for the money, for like 10,000, I could shoot probably 60 out of 100 from 3-point baskets. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm getting older, bro. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it going.
Do you think any of these pro pool players can beat you at basketball?
No.
There we go.
0. I mean, most of the pro pool players listen, there's guys like Shane that fishes. Most of the pro pool players aren't trying to be that physical because it affects your body and potentially the way you sight the ball if you have any muscle fatigue or whatever. So I mean, I wouldn't recommend playing basketball. It was my path before pool. So, it breaks your body down, and it's really hard to be consistent playing pool, playing, other games that are pretty violent. You know what I mean? So,
Joey Gray might be the exception to that.
I mean, okay, I got a great story for you. You ready? All right. So like 10 years ago, I raced Joey Gray, okay, a 300-yard dash for like, I don't know, it was a couple $1,000. And Chip Compton bet on Joey Gray, and Justin Hall bet on me. And I played basketball my whole life, so I ran these short spurts a lot. And Joey Gray's a he's like a marathon runner.
Right.
I'm like a gazelle, though. You know what I mean? I raced them for all that money, barefooted, in our boxer shorts. This was back in the day when we were, when I was drinking and having fun. But I beat Joey Gray by about 120 yards.
Holy moly.
Look,
Oh,
we raced 150 yards one way and 150 yards back the other way, right? And I touched the wall first, and I'm about to make a U-turn. And Joey Gray falls flat on his face to the face. Yeah. And listen, I'm thinking, man, this Joey Gray, he's relentless. I'm running like he's behind me the whole time. I'm scared. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking he's going to catch me. You know what I mean? And I ran that next 150 yards like as hard as I could. And he wound up actually, stopping way back there. But I didn't necessarily know it. You know what I mean? So I was running for all my money right there. You know what I mean? I didn't have a lot of bread at the time. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Joey Gray is an animal. And the thing about Joey Gray is he just shows love to people. He knows how to motivate people. And I really admire that about him. You know what I mean? The way he builds his teams. He doesn't go join a team, like these other basketball players. He builds his own team and he makes it work. Right. I really like it a lot. Yeah.
So what got you into pool?
Crazy story. I had a pool table when I was a little boy. I had a Conley, and I played with my brothers and my sisters, up to about 12 years old, and my parents got a divorce. And then when my father passed away when I was 17, and then my sister passed away when I was 21. And I was so angry for so long. I just wanted to, I wanted to dedicate my life to pool, and it kind of helped me. It kind of helped me forget about the pain I was going through. I never really dealt with it. I just played pool through it. And so I played pool very angry for a long time. And my goal in life was to be a champion, to prove to them my worth, because I was the youngest and I lost at everything. I wanted to make them happy and proud of me. So I dedicated about 12 years, 15 hours a day, and played almost every day. And I was angry the whole time, and I was drinking. And now I've been sober for 3 years. But the number one thing I want to tell people out there is, like, just don't play pool angry. Like, you can play the game objectively, and it can hurt your feelings a little. But if you're angry while you're playing, you're just not going to get consistent measurements. You know what I mean? Because your emotional disposition is going to cancel out, you just don't. I see angry people all the time. I ask them, which way did you miss the ball? They're like, I don't know. I was like, well, if you weren't so angry, you'd know that you overcut that ball, and you could have subtracted English and it would have gone in, or whatever the case may be. And I played pool angry for a long time, and then 3 years ago I stopped drinking so I could deal with my emotions. And I feel like I'm not, I got about 17 second places and about 3 first places, and I think nothing changed when you win. That's the number one thing people think. They think when you win, something's gonna change. No, you still gotta go eat and still gotta do your thing. You gotta change out diapers, and you know what I'm saying? Like, life continues, you know what I mean? So,
right.
But that's how I got started playing pool, to answer your question. I was in depression for a long time, and pool was my outlet. And thinking about the game just kept my mind off the pain I was enduring at that time. So that was kind of how. And obviously, the first Derby City Classic, I realized you get to play for 10 days, 15 hours a day, and it was like a marathon. And I was like, damn, I'm good at this. You know what I mean? Because I was in good shape. You know what I'm saying? Now my belly's growing in. I don't know how many more derbies I can take. You know what I mean?
All right. right, let's talk. Let's just get right into bank pool because I know it's going to come up. Let's just go ahead and let's talk bank pool.
Yeah, I mean, banking, there's so many beautiful aspects of banking. I think to start would be the various change in conditions, you know? So, for instance, if you have a straight in bank on brand new felt, I would highly recommend to hold the angle at a medium speed. You're using a touch of inside. On intermediate conditions, you're using middle ball. And then on worn conditions, you might be using a touch of outside or a touch of low. My point is that just because the angle looks the same, as the table's conditions change, you are countering not necessarily the angle in, but where you strike the cue ball to make that line still make sense. You know what I mean? So banking's an art, you know. You're measuring angle, the spin, and the speed. And if the spin and if the spin's on and the speed's off, you're not gonna make the bank. And if the speed's on and the spin's off, you're not gonna make the bank. So it's imperative, like your two hands, is to work both of those measurements together. You know, and when you work spin and speed together, you just get these beautiful outcomes that are very consistent. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, they try to change their stroke or they change the speed a lot. Well, I like to change the spin on the cue ball and try to keep my speed relative. Now, that doesn't mean I don't fire certain ones in, but as a base, I'm trying to think about everything symmetrical, which is angle in equals angle out, or I'm trying to think about working the angle short to long or long to short. So that's kind of like how I base my decisions. I want to know, am I working the angle square? Am I working the angle short to long? Or am I working it long to short? So that's kind of, I mean, there's so much more to it, but, you know, banking's the best game. There's no variance of luck. So if you love pool and, you know, like 9-ball, the guy makes the ball in accident, he beats you. You're like, what the heck's going on? 10-ball, if he breaks really good, he beats you. Very rarely do people break and run racks of bank pool. It does happen, but you almost always get a chance to defend yourself. Plus, you're measuring the conditions. So when you go to play those other games, it's like super simple compared to bank pool. You know, bank pool helps you work on your composure because you're not going to make the shot all the time. When you miss, like a 9-ball, people are like, man, why did, you know, they're all upset and they're crying. And I'm like, bro, play some games like one pocket or bank pool where you're going to make mistakes often. And you just have to be mentally composed for the long, so you can learn your reads. You know what I mean? People being angry don't understand their mistake or their tendency of error. So once again, this is my major point. People that play bank pool, they like to juke the ball or hit it harder. I like to use the spin and the speed together to work the angle. So I hope that helps you guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know. So when I shoot a 4-railer, if I'm on new conditions, I like to hit it with a little bit of side spin, or I like to cut it a little bit. So I will either cut the ball, I will turn the ball, or I'll throw the ball. Like for instance, last night I was shooting 4-railers on a worn condition, and I'm aiming it with throw. I'm aiming it way out wide, and then I'm bringing it back to the hole. Now in new conditions, I will aim it short, and I will bring it back, or I can open and close the angle with top or bottom or left or right. You know what I mean? So I just kind of have, I play the 4-railers with no English, and then I add or subtract spin from there. The only time I change my angle in on 4-railers is kind of like on new felt, because the slide is just so brutal. You kind of have to tilt your angle a little bit. You know what I mean? But other than that, I play the relative base angle pretty much on every other condition. You know what I mean?
Explain for those that don't know the difference between bank pool and banks by the rail.
Okay, so bank pool is going to be a total of like 9 balls, like 9-ball, and you need to make 5 before I make 5. Potentially, it could be you could have 4 and I could have 4, and we could fight for that last ball. But the only thing about bank by the ball is you only get rewarded, no matter how many rails you get rewarded 1 unit. So you need 5 units to win before your opponent gets 5 units. Doesn't matter if you shoot a 6-railer, you only get 1. Now, banks by the rail, when you play some of these champions, they shoot 3 or 4 1-railers, and then I hit 2 4-railers, and I'm up 4 rails. Each rail is the value of 1. So if I shoot like the other night ago, I ran 2 14s. You know what I mean? A 4, a 4, a 3, and a couple singles, or a 4 on the side. You know what I mean? So the thing about banks by the rail is you want to trade a quarter for a dollar. So if you have a very hard one railer versus having a very hard four railer, my opinion is shoot the four railer because those long pinch straight backs are super difficult. You can't really play as good a defense with them. So I'll swing my cue ball around, play four rails, taking about the same difficulty of a shot, but I get 4-1 on the money. So when you play by the rail, you're getting 4-1 on the money, where when you play by the ball, you have to play a lot more defensive. If you get the lead in banks by the ball, you're going to protect the lead like one pocket. When you play banks by the rail, I mean, if a guy's got you down 8-0, you can still shoot 2 4-railers and you can come back and neutralize his strengths. Where if you're playing that guy by the game, he's probably going to whoop your butt. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah.
Okay, who's the best bank pool player to ever live?
Ever live?
Your opinion, which is a pretty heavy opinion here.
I'll tell you what, tournament style, there's 2 guys that come to my mind. I watched play for 20 years, and it's John Brumback. 3 guys: John Brumback, Shannon Dalton, and Shannon Murphy. Tournament play, like Derby City. If you look at over the last 20 years, Shannon Murphy has made an unbelievable runs all the way to the end on multiple occasions. Shannon Dalton, he sights the ball like it's the most incredible thing. I had Shannon Dalton down in the final 10 at Derby, final 7, I think. And he needs 3 and I need 1. And he jacks up off the end rail and stiffens his ball back. And if he misses it, he sleeps in the street. You know what I mean? But his ability to stay through the ball, I think Shannon Dalton he's just so competitive, and he's a little bit husky, and just he didn't really care about what you thought about him. He's a country boy. That man could play some banks. I mean, John Brumback's obviously, and then Piggy Banks, and then Justin Hall's my mentor. I would say Justin's up there. And then by the rail, it's Billy. Billy's the best. Can't really dispute that. I did beat Billy 7 days in a row in Texas, but he was spotting me 1 rail, 2 rails a game. So, you know what I mean? I think.
What about Eddie Taylor?
His name comes up a lot. I didn't really get a chance to see him play that much, but Billy says that we would torture those guys.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't get him in trouble, but that's what I know Eddie Taylor was a bad dude, but I think the conditions back in the day, the pockets were more acceptive. You know what I mean? Those gold crowns for me. So, like, for me, I know a gold crown plays a little longer and a diamond plays a little shorter. So if I'm playing a one railer on a gold crown, I might just be hitting middle, where when I'm hitting the one railer on the diamond, I might be hitting a little low. You know what I mean? On the gold crown, I might be using a touch of inside, and on the diamond, I might be using middle. So, like, my adjustment is 1 over. So, like, I know the table plays a little longer than the diamond. So in order for that angle to play symmetrical on a gold crown, if you know it plays longer, you're going to have to hold it. And on a diamond, if you know it holds naturally, you're going to have to release it. So you're going to have to hit a little low to make the angle play symmetrical. Now, if you want to aim it short to long, you will base everything off that. You go from there. I always want to figure the heart of the pocket first, and then I open to close the angle, and then I close and open the angle, depending on where I want my cue ball, depending on the conditions that I'm playing in. But yeah, so that's what's up.
So basically, he can shoot it 20 different ways, and we're all just trying to make the bank. You can shoot it 5 different ways.
Yeah, I mean, so if you start off with for me, this is how I do it. If I have a small angle, I'm going to use 3 ways to figure out what stroke I'm going to apply, which is top English slow. So top English closes the angle, but the slow speed opens it so it plays symmetrical. Middle ball medium plays the same angle in, the same angle out. And bottom English opens it, but the speed closes it. So top slow, middle medium, and bottom English firm all play angle in, angle out. Now, if I want to change my speed, like for instance on top English slow, and I want to make top English medium speed, I'm going to aim it long and work it short. You see what I'm saying? So If I want to hit middle ball medium, I know that plays symmetrical. If I want to hit that a little short, I can increase my speed and I can aim it long and shorten it. If I want to take middle ball slow, I can aim it short and lengthen it. You know what I mean? I can open it with outside or close it with it. I can close it with inside or open it with outside. I can open it with draw and close it with top. I can open it with slow speed or close it with fast speed. So it's angle, spin, speed. Once you know what those three things do, you can add or subtract one of those, and you can shorten or open that. You can open or close the angle from there. You always want to measure the angle square and then decide. So, like for instance, if I'm shooting a one pocket shot, top English slow, right? Now I know top English slow makes me make the bang, but if I need to use top left, because I know I need to slide my cue ball over that way to make to get my next shot, I'm gonna aim top English slow. I'm gonna add left English, but I'm gonna aim it short, and I'm gonna open the angle to get my cue ball to do what I need it to do. But if you don't understand what top English slow does, if you add spin or add speed, you're gonna miss. Because you're one extra adjustment away from what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I feel like I get you closer to your center, and then you can do the work from there, depending on what you need your cue ball to do. You know what I mean?
But you're always hitting the object ball center?
No, I'm saying that I'm imagining one of those three strokes, and then I go from there. So I'm not necessarily using that all the time. So for instance, if it's straight in, I can hit top slow, middle ball medium, or bottom firm. Now, as I get an angle, like say 20 degrees bigger angle, if I use top English slow as my basis with that angle, I'm going to have to use outside. If I use middle ball medium as my basis, then with an angle, because the collision induced. Yeah, what's up? 1 second, baby. I'm on the phone. Look at my daughter wants to show you her dress.
Come on, bring it on.
She's got her lipstick on. Here you go.
That's fine.
Oh, hi.
Hi. How are you?
You doing good? So what I was saying is when I hit middle ball medium, right? I know middle ball and medium play symmetrical, right? So if I want my cue ball to go to the left, I'll add on a straight line, I'll add outside and aim it short. But if I have an angle, for instance, if I have 20, like we were talking, I have 20 degrees. When you have a larger angle, you have to add outside English with one of those three variances. So if you're going to play top English slow with an angle, you have to add outside for it to get to the hole. If you're going to play middle ball medium, you have to add outside. If you're going to play bottom English firm, you have to add outside if it has an angle. If it's straight in, those three ways work. So if it's straight in, yes, I use top, middle, or bottom, or a touch inside, or a touch outside, depending on the situation. But yeah, I mean, it seems complicated, but it's really not. I use one of those three selections, and then I add spin, aim it short to long, or subtract spin, aim it long to short. So, you know what I mean?
All right, here's one. Have you ever played bank pool on the bar table?
Yeah, I have a really good story about that. I played Jason Kirkwood one time. When I first fell in love with bank pool, I thought I was the best, and I didn't realize I had no clue what the best meant. And I played Jason Kirkwood on the bar table, and we played for like 17 hours. He must have had 47 beers. I mean, this guy is a legend on the bar table. You feel me? And I think he wound up beating me after it was really hard for me to say uncle back then. I would just play until my feet bleed, And we played at Valley Forge. And I don't think, is your question asking me what changes from a bar table to a big table, or do I play on a bar table?
Yeah, I mean, I think most amateurs play on a bar table. Most of the time they play, they don't try banks. I think it would be a good tournament.
You should play banks on every table you get an opportunity. And the reason why is because you're able to see the conditions unfold. Oftentimes when you shoot the object ball in the hole, and you don't see your cue ball as well because you're still down, But when you shoot a four-railer and you get to watch the ball conduct itself, I think that people are not getting their full ability if they're not measuring the conditions of the rails. You know what I mean? That's why I love banks, because any league player that just plays to make the ball in the middle of the pocket, they're not going to beat somebody that understands conditions and understands the weight of the balls and, how dirty the balls are, but you know what your adjustments are based on the conditions. So yeah, but Jason Kirkwood beat me after 20 hours, and then I went and played T-Town Timmy at Jersey Sandcastle Billiards, and I beat him like 13 games in a row, and they only, it was like 200 a game. They only paid me like half, but it's all good.
So, what's been your biggest win playing pool?
I beat one guy for 34,000. I needed 13 balls and he needed 2. One game for 18,000. He's a friend of mine. He works on a boat. He makes really good money. And I was giving him a chance to win his money back. And lo and behold, man, I learned how to play the game trading a quarter for a dollar. That day, I was so scared that I would never shoot a shot unless it was free, you know? And I finally learned but yeah, I mean, I won a ring game recently. I've won the Predator Pro. I've done a lot of amateur stuff, and I think beating Billy was one of my, beating Billy in Texas every day on a different table. It felt way better than any tournament I've ever won, just because I have so much respect for him and he's the best. You know what I mean? So
yeah. People that know you're not afraid to play with the best in the world. You've been to the U.S. Open, what, over a dozen times?
Yeah, I cashed in the U.S. Open 3 times out of hey, I'm not gonna sit here and BS you. Those guys are some bad mothers. I'm trying to tell you. Listen, they eat, breathe, and sleep pool on new conditions, and they play with the black shaft, and they're just all so. They're so groomed. The Filipinos, they're just such groomed human beings. Man, you start to think, who's the cool one in the building here? I think it's them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? I got 5th in the world straight pool, and then I got top 10 in the Derby all around one year. I got 7th in the banks, 13th in the one pocket, and 52nd in the 9-ball. And I was in the top 10 in the all around. That was, to me, that was my best. I was more proud of that because I've always said, just because you're a one-trick pony doesn't make you a pool player. I like the old school players, Buddy Hall and Nick Varner. These guys play one pocket, they play 9-ball. Anything with pool balls, they wanted to know how to play it, So getting the all-around in the top 10, it didn't pay any money, but I felt like more deserving because I competed in every aspect of the games where I was weak at,
Right.
So
who was your favorite player growing up?
Well, my mentor was Justin Hall. And the number one thing Justin taught me, I wouldn't say, listen, I love Justin Hall with my heart. I believe at one time he was the greatest American player. And he won the all-around championship in Tunica. And I was sitting with Efren, Bustamante, and their stake horses. And Justin looks over to Justin Stakehorse looks over to Efren and says, "Hey, how you guys want to play Justin?" And Bustamante and Efren in their prime, I swear on everything I love, they said Justin plays too good. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. They didn't want nothing to do with Justin. I like Justin's style because, and I want to tell you something that he taught me. He's the one that taught me how to aim throw. Meaning, a lot of people aim at the middle of the pocket on every shot. Justin can aim 8 inches up the rail and throw it to the middle of the pocket to create the angle. Justin can aim this far up the rail. He has different measuring sticks, how he aims spin. And that really, really helped my brain understand pool and the physics and how spin transfer works. You know what I mean? Justin loved me when I was drinking and partying, and he loves me now that I'm sober, and he's always had my back. He's always, been there for me. And, if he's listening, tell him I said thank you.
Yeah. Well, we plan on talking to him too eventually, and we're going to talk to Joey. We're going to ask him about that butt kicking on that race.
Oh, you better. He's going to give you a good story, but in our boxer shorts.
Why in the boxers? Come on, man.
We were young and we were stallions. I wanted to make sure Joey Gray knew, hey, you ain't the only one with a 6-pack. I was trying, I was in good shape then. I played basketball and I was doing my thing in the gym, and I just remember Joey Gray was like, he's always been that dude, and all my friends are like Joey. When I was younger playing ball, they all were in good shape. So I always had to be a little, how you say it, like aggressive with them to earn their respect. And I think that's why me and Joey have become good friends because, he keeps everybody accountable. And I do the same thing to him. So it's a beautiful little bickering relationship. But, he probably whooped me now. You know what I mean?
So what do you go ahead.
But
Go ahead, Sean.
oh, I lost my train of thought. Okay. Favorite tournament to play every year. What is it?
Derby.
I knew you were gonna- All right, besides the Derby.
I mean, listen, Derby's not for everybody, but it's a true test of stamina. It's a test of how do you reserve your energy. There's so many variables Derby deals with that no other tournament in the world deals with. I mean, okay, maybe some of these pro terms that are 6 days long, but they play like once or twice a day. You understand? Derby, you might have 5 matches one day. You play in a mini, you gamble. You got to eat right. But my favorite other tournament, I mean, the Texas Open is really fun. That's a good tournament. It's going on.
What's coming up Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, bro, I just love pool. I use pool to, I played the game because I don't care where the tournament's at. You know what I'm saying? But I can't think of it offhand. But
are you coming to that one this year?
I don't think I'm signed up for it, to be honest with you.
No, it's full.
It's too hot in Texas, man. I'm from Florida, and it's too hot in Texas. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm gonna go to the Mez tour, and then I'm going to a tournament here in Bruins, right here and locally. I won an 8-ball tournament like 2 weeks ago, and I think finally not drinking has finally caught up. Like it took me several years not drinking to like kind of have that, get my swagger back. When you're drinking and you're playing pool and the guy beats you, you feel so much more emotional. And when you are sober and you lose, you're just like, man, I guess it wasn't my day. You know what I'm saying? But when you're drinking, you're like, why did I do that? He's stupid. You know what I mean? It's like you're really hard on yourself. So for me, that I don't want to go that distance no more. You know what I'm saying? But I had fun drinking. It's just unfortunately every sponsor at every pool hall got they got beer there, so it's like might not want to. If I want to show people how to improve their games, and I got to be like Joey, live by be by example, and I don't want to see people see me inebriated and stuff.
Plus we seen a reason right there to quit the drinking. That little girl.
Oh, you got to see my baby, bro. Wait to see my baby. Yeah, I mean, that's why I stopped drinking. My daughter, I think she was like 17, 16, and she's 19 now. And she told me like, man, you're fucking up. You're drinking too much and you look like an idiot. I blew the motor. I came and picked her up one night and I blew the motor in the van, and it was because I wasn't using my judgment, and, kind of ashamed of drinking so long. I don't regret it because that's just how I dealt with it. But if I could help somebody not drink, it would make me feel like at least, kind of let them see like, hey, you can do it without it. Yes, it's cool to drink, but don't drink to celebrate. Don't drink to drown in your sorrows. You may drink at the family barbecue just socially, but if every time you drink you get drunk, I mean, it just can't be the right way, and if you really want to be great at pool, you got to remember what you did wrong. And I'm telling you, alcohol reboots your computer every time, so it's like, you can't remember that shot you missed Hill the night before. You know what I mean?
Right. So I've got 2 questions. One that we hadn't asked anybody yet. So if you were going to put it, we lost him.
Uh-oh. Guess he didn't like your question.
Just thought of this one. So I was going to ask him if he was going to put a team together of him, him being the captain, what's the other players out of Florida that he'd pick, to play like a Moscone style tournament.
Good question.
And then tell him about us interviewing Darren tomorrow, and what's one question that we should ask him.
Okay.
So, all he's got. Well, I wonder if his phone died.
Ooh.
I know he was on his phone because it was turned up.
There he is.
There he comes.
Hi, sorry about that. I just dropped. But what were your two questions?
Okay, so you're a team captain, and you've got 4 people to pick from Florida on your team, basically playing Moscone style tournament. Who's the 4 players you would pick?
With yourself.
Justin Hall, Anthony Maglino. I mean, Kyle Bova's got to be up there, and so I need one more.
Yeah.
Can't think of the last one. Oh, I guess Donnie Mills for sure, right?
I was thinking Donnie Mills or Raymond Linares.
Yeah, I mean, Raymond is. I think Raymond's mind's condition is really good for the big show. I really do. I think he studies greatness, and I think he's a perfect pick. I like Raymond's game a lot for a situation like that. I like Justin Hall's game there because, guys people don't realize Justin Hall does it differently. You watch him play, he doesn't hit the ball like these guys. And when he beats these great players, they understand that how great of a play, like they understand that he has something they don't have. Like I watched Justin beat Fedor, and Fedor just can't even be upset. He just knows he got beat by somebody that knows the game really well. I mean, Kyle Bova, he's a young stallion. If Kyle had a caddy, I think he could be one of the best in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it would be Donnie, Justin, Kyle, Anthony, maybe Raymond, and myself, maybe somewhere around there.
Okay. And my final question, and then I'll let Sean continue. So tomorrow we have an interview with Darren Appleton. What's a question you think we should ask him?
I don't know, bro. You tell Darren Appleton that I'm happy that he's still alive, and I watched him win every one of his U.S. Opens. I played in all of them that he won. I watched Efren shit out on him, and that broke my heart watching Efren jump around on his table and climbing the stick when he shit that ball in to beat him. You know what I mean? But Darren Darren's drills. Darren's a competitor. What would I say one thing? I would say, what's the last thing he thinks about before pulling the trigger? Because he's such a great ball striker. Another thing I would like to ask him, when he pulls the cue back, does he go straight back, straight forward, or does he go a little up, down, and then level? Like, what's his cadence of his backstroke at different, so like soft, medium, and firm, what changes in his stroke to accommodate the speed? I don't know if that's a good question or not.
He's very methodical. No, I would say methodical. His mechanics are good.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to figure out what changes in his stroke as he applies speed.
Right.
And so that's kind of like, does he have any little hidden gem of secrets that he could share with us about, like, for instance, I know, like, for me, my softer stroke is going to be like a boop, you know what I mean? And then my mediums, and then if I go longer, I feel like I go up a little bit to kind of create that power. Where on my shorter stroke, I'm more straight back, straight forward, like Sky, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
all right, Sean, your turn.
Darren Appleton's a legend. Yeah, I've watched him win so many tournaments. Tell him I said, what's up? And
we'll do.
I miss him a lot. He's always been cool to me. So
he said he'll be back over here. He'll be back over here next month.
Some of the greatest times ever with Darren Appleton after the U.S. Open, dancing, and he's a fun guy to be around. He's 100% heart, bro. That's the reason why he's alive. He's all heart. Tell him I said I got mad respect for him.
We'll do.
I want to know who you would pick as your Scotch doubles partner, anybody in the world, for an all around?
Chris Melling.
All around, one pocket
Bro,
and banks.
dude, Chris Melling
You
is
don't care if it's him, huh?
bro. Chris Melling can do anything. But
He's got the four best shots ever in the world, and they were all consecutive. So,
Oh, that.
Chris Melling, you know why I like Chris Melling? Because he's not scared of a tough shot. I'm a big guy. I don't necessarily play perfect position. However, I get back in line real good. But I always have anxiety of leaving my opponent, my partner, too tough. Well, with Chris Melling, I know that's impossible. You know what I'm saying? So, he's going to help me recover. It's like having Phil Mickelson on your team to chip the ball. I mean, he can cut it, spin it, turn it, flop it, nip it, tuck. You know what I mean? So Chris Melling, to me, right away, I've watched him play these long races at Derby for 20 years. I've watched him get deep in the banks for 20 years. He even plays one pocket decent. I mean, he doesn't know the game super great, but he plays the ball pocketing aspect so well. He advances the game where nobody else can advance the game like him. You know what I mean? Like, you remember when Scott was playing when he was younger, he could advance the game. But when you play Scott one pocket now, it's treacherous. He's taking one game, take 2 hours. Chris Melling, one game takes about 11 minutes, 13 seconds.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah,
that's an interesting one. Yeah, he would be a great doubles partner. He could get you out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And Chris Melling, he doesn't ever waver. Like, if I could help any of these young people, and I touched on this earlier about being angry. Chris Melling goes back to his chair. Yeah, he does get a little angry, but it's kind of like an internal, like, just he's letting out steam a little bit. He's not trying to show it. He goes and sits back in his chair, and he sits very calm, and he's just very relaxed. And I think as a partner, I think that would transfer to me or whoever his partner is. It's a benefit to your partner when your partner can be still and be calm. It's almost like he's giving you the strength to be that same person. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like Chris Melling. I think he deleted me on Facebook one time because I punched Jason Shaw that one time. You know what I'm saying? But me and Jason are friends now. It was just wild madness one night. You know.
Okay, Chris, what do you got for like the generic questions? What did I miss? Did we talk about equipment yet?
No, that was my next question.
Okay, right. I play with maple, guys. I play with regular maple, and I aim at my ear to hit my nose. You know what I mean? I'm just joking. So I'm happy you brought this up. I play with maple, and I still don't understand why people play with low deflection. And I don't know if it's my IQ or maybe I'm just stubborn. But if you hit the ball the right speed, does it really deflect? You know what I'm saying? No, right?
Right.
So you're saying the guys with the black shaft, they can hit it slightly harder and track the same line, but all I do is just aim it a little thicker, a little thinner. I mean, the whole basis of my game is measuring when I increase speed, right? So it's like I don't really see deflection as an issue. You know what I mean? But I play with maple, and then I play with a PK Rush. And I will say this, I play with a black shaft break cue because I'm hitting it so hard. You can only imagine reducing a little bit of the deflection could help you, right?
Right.
But on a regular wood, I'm smoothly hitting the ball. I don't really feel like I'm dealing with much deflection. So if somebody wants to help me answer that, if I played on new felt every day, I would play with a low deflecting cue, you know? But yeah, and I play with a Bushka jump cue. So it's a really nice jump cue.
We know Joe pretty well.
Bro, if you could get me in contact with him, I'd like to put an order in because, man,
I'll send you his number.
His cues, his jump cues, they get over the ball effortlessly. And the coolest thing about his tip is that it's tapered out. So he has an outward taper on the tip, not on the ferrule. So the ferrule's like this, and then right at the end, it's like a mushroom tip.
Yeah.
And my theory is it contacts more surface area on the ball, and that's why it's able to get up so easy. You know what I mean? So I really like the Bushka jump cue a lot.
Okay, headphones or no headphones while you're playing?
Okay, I tried headphones for a little while, and you know what? A guy came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I see, you know, because my whole life I taught stillness is calmness. Sit in your chair and be calm and just observe the game like you're a fan. Just observe the game. And when you're in music, you're relying on something to give you something that you should be working on internally. I think music's bad for your game. I think a fighter would never wear music while he fights, but music's good before he fights. So if you study any great athletes, use music prior to playing, but use no music while you're playing. Use all of your mind and all of your, how you say, your focus and your stillness when you're trying to execute pool. I think music hinders you. I think it can help you prior to your match, but during a match, you're fiddling around with your phone, you're wasting energy, you're not concentrating on what the balls are doing, what the table's doing. You know, there's so much information to get freely while your opponent's shooting the balls in. You can freely absorb information, but if you're listening to music, you're worried about your vibe. Your vibe should be what the balls are doing. Your objective thinking cannot be the way to its perfect. You can't be perfect when you think. When you're objective with music, you can't be that perfect version of yourself. I truly believe that. I think people look for a fake rhythm with music that they should be able to have that internally and use that. You know what I mean? Use the beat of their own rhythm. You know, like I think stillness and no music is gonna benefit your thought, your thinking, and it's gonna once you get through that, like Sean, because I used to listen to music and I realized it wasn't the music. I was trying to distract myself from dealing with my feelings. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you deal with your feelings and you feel music benefits you, I'd put it on something very soothing and very low, where you're not. You know, I see guys listen to rock and roll and rap music. I mean, listen, pool's about being emotionally neutral. So when you add music, it makes you emotional. People think that helps them, but it actually hurts them because when the moment gets larger, they don't know how to dial it back. You know, and music amps you up. So for a guy like me and you, Sean, no music. Maybe a guy that's real calm and he's like, you know, very like introverted, maybe that might help him. I don't know. But a guy like you, I would say you need to concentrate on the game, play the internal music in your heart so you can hit the ball with your own musical stroke. You know what I'm saying? The music stroke, you know what I'm saying? It's not I'm telling you, music's bad for your game. I'm happy you asked that. It's good before. So if you're going to Derby, you wear the music going down the hallway like Rocky. You're a bad motherfucker, right? And then you take the headphones off and it's dead silence. And you just be 100% still, 100% silent, and reserve every ounce of your emotion, of your energy. Because when you get over the ball and the pressure occurs as the match gets higher, the music hurts you, bro. 100%. I appreciate you asking.
Let's go with okay, we got to talk about pool lessons. I know you're super busy with your time. I mean, you've got your own company, you've got kids, wife, and then you're trying to travel around the country to play pool. Do you have time for pool lessons?
I would love to do something like what Tony is doing. Set up a 2-day type of deal. If you have 10 players that want to sign up, like $300, and that would pay for my plane, my hotel, and I can make a couple thousand. And it's a money back guarantee. That's the thing that what I do when I teach pool. So if you take a bank lesson with me and 10 people come up and 2 of them say, man, this is a crock of shit, it ain't helped me at all, I don't even want your money. I'll accept that answer at the end of the bank lesson. If you don't feel it's benefits you 100%, I don't want the money. So if you got, I mean, I do lessons probably like twice a week here in town. I did a lesson yesterday, and my guy just made it to the finals in the tournament just 2 weeks ago. I taught Trenton White.
The lesson that you gave me was probably one of the best lessons that I've ever had. I mean, you guys, you've heard, you know, turning the ball, cutting the ball, throwing the ball. Mike can get you dialed in on.
Yeah, I mean, people are so general when they aim the ball, Sean. They aim at the middle of a 4-inch pocket, and the ball is 2 1/4. So if you're aiming here, your miss is going to be grand, right? But if you aim at the middle of the pocket, the width of the object ball, which is turning the ball at the middle of the pocket, or you can cut it, work it back to the middle, or you can throw it, work it back to the middle. You know what I'm saying? So when you have a smaller angle, your throw can be here, here, or here, and you can throw it to the middle. As the angle gets larger, you don't really throw the ball at all because you're hitting so little of the ball. So generally, at a larger angle, you're going to be at the outside or middle of the pocket, right? Because you're hitting so little of the ball, it doesn't accept the spin you're putting on it. It just kind of neutralizes it. So you're either going to be aiming at the outside of the pocket or the middle of the pocket on a bigger angle, versus on a smaller angle, when you spin, you're aiming at throw. On an intermediate angle with one tip of spin, you're aiming at the middle of the pocket. And on a large angle, one tip of spin, you're aiming at the outside of the pocket. Just remember, as the angle gets larger, you have to account by either cutting or adding spin. It's up to you. You know what I mean? You either got to cut it more or you got to spin it more, which you would have to aim it fatter and throw it to the middle. So, and the cool thing about cut, turn, and throw is that you get 3 different tangent lines to work off of. So this is what the thing is, Sean. The guys that aim at the middle of the pocket all the time, what they do is they aim at the middle and they get a tangent line, but they realize they need to come higher. They arc the ball high. Well, that means they got to hit the ball harder. If I wanted to take that same line the guy arcs to, I aim it fat with spin, and I take a straight direct line to the rail. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't have to bend my ball and hit it harder or change my dynamic of my stroke. I'll aim it fatter and get that tangent line. I'll aim to the middle pocket, get that tangent line. I'll aim to the outside of the pocket and get that tangent line. But you got to realize every time I aim a ball, it always goes back to the middle. So when I say I aim it to the outside, it doesn't mean that's where it's going. It starts on the outside and works its way back to the middle, or it starts on the inside and works its way back to the middle, or I aim it down the line it's going. So that's cut, turn, and throw in a nutshell. If you guys want to learn that stuff, I truly think I learned that from playing Banks with Billy. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have a 4-railer and you have a small angle, you're just literally playing the middle of the pocket, or you're aiming it short to long or long to short. So you're using cut, turn, and throw in all your banking applications as well. You know, I don't think a lot of people can teach it because they haven't played enough to put it in motion, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did that
I've
make
had people
was
ask
it
me
too
to
much?
teach them to bank, and I just avoid it. I
Was
just
it too
tell them,
much?
when people ask me to help them yeah, if you, it's confusing if you don't know the language.
And then,
You
and you know what? Funny thing is, my students that understand the language, if they're my partner or something, we're playing, we're gambling, I can say, hey, use one tip of spin to cut line. Meaning, if you imagine the angle square, cut line's going to be here, right? It's going to be left of square. Throw line's going to be right of square, right? So you're going to either aim it square, you're going to aim it short and open it, or you're going to aim it long and shorten it. You see what I'm saying? So cut, turn, and throw, or they work for 9-ball, they work for banks, and it gives you different tangent lines. Like, if I showed you how accurately I can make my ball stun 90 degrees, like, I'm just trying to tell you, European players, they aim at the middle of the pocket and they bend the ball with top and bottom. American players, we aim it thick or thin and we work the ball based off spin and speed. You know what I mean? I don't know which one's better, but I like my way. It's a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Let's go with oh crap. Forgot what I was gonna ask. Help me out, Chris.
I don't know what's in your head.
Oh. Lessons. I mean, what was one of the best lessons you ever got?
I will tell you a great lesson that I got. It was from an old man named Wayne Catledge. Okay. I was playing him one day and I was really nervous and I was moving around in my chair. And this guy was a great player. And he was probably in his early 50s. He's in his 70s now. Wayne Catledge is like real cool with Jeanette Lee. He's like trained with all the greatest instructors in the world. He plays 3-cushion billiards. And he came over to me, he looked at me, he said, hey, son, I was 17 years old. I just started playing pool. He said, if you don't learn how to sit in that damn chair, sit still while your opponent's shooting, well, I won't play with you no more. I said, you're going to learn to respect the game and you're going to sit in that damn chair and you're not going to say a damn word while I'm shooting. And you know what? I used to think that, man, that guy was an asshole. And now that I get older and I realize how much importance there is to sitting in your chair and just being swagged out. There's no victory in sharking. There's no victory in leaning on your arm. There's no victory in talking to your friend while you're playing. Your friend's going to be there after the match.